If only it were.
It's sunrise extra time, so I'm going to change my outfit from the Sunrise TV show. I'm going to unbutton my jacket. There we go. Now we're ready for extra.
Well, you just take the jacket off. Yep. Look at Rod.
It's off.
Yeah, look at me.
We are talking about coronavirus on this Monday because we did see, you can read into this what you will, but we did see the largest daily case number reported in, I guess we could say, the history of the state, right? Since the pandemic started, though, would be probably more accurate. Since the pandemic started, our highest total in one day was recorded on Friday when we had well over 400 cases reported here in the state of Oregon. That has us asking, where do you stand right now with coronavirus? Are you as concerned as ever? Are you more concerned now than you were 6 months ago even? Did you think that we'd be kind of on the back end of things, and now maybe you can see that we're still right in the thick of it all? That's the question we posted. Basically, are you more concerned now because of this recent spike in cases? But we can open this discussion up to more general coronavirus talk, because I'm curious how people are treating their day-to-day activities now than they were, say, back in certainly March and April, but maybe even in June and July. Are you letting your guard down at all, so to speak?
That's a good question.
Is your guard up now more than it ever has been? There you see the recent 14-day moving case numbers. We were down for a while there. The trend was definitely down for a couple of weeks here in the beginning of September, but we've seen the uptick in recent days. So does that concern you?
Well, I think, just look at what's happened. We're a couple of weeks out from Labor Day when people got together. We saw case numbers go up then. College kids are going back to school, and they do what they do, which is party, gathering on campus, off campus, in Greek houses. So that's also fueling those numbers. Every time I feel like I want to get kind of casual about it, I'm like, this is what I say to myself, seriously, COVID's going to do what it's going to do. So if I don't want to take my 20 seconds and wash my hands, if I don't want to wear my mask, that's on me. And I don't want to take that chance. So I feel like this is our new normal, and I've kind of adjusted to that, and I'm continuing to do all the precautions that I have.
I'll take out my phone and see what the people are saying this morning, but I'll also point out that, when we did all the wildfire coverage a couple of weeks ago, when we were still in the thick of that, and we weren't getting the containment numbers that thankfully we're getting now, the fires were still raging, we heard about the fact that testing sites had to close down. And the state even warned us, hey, some of these numbers that you're reporting now, the daily case numbers, may not be as accurate as they had been because testing sites are down, not as many people getting tested. So just fair warning, these numbers may not be as accurate as they had been. So now we're past that. Those testing centers are back open now, and sure enough, we saw that huge number on Friday, and we saw what were really some bigger numbers Saturday and Sunday, bigger than they had been at least the week prior.
Stanford Walker. Sorry, Nina, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what was the Clark County number? I mean, they say it was a backlog of cases because, some of those test kits were sitting waiting for the, lab technicians to come back. But it was
482.
482. That's almost how many we see in the whole state of Oregon, on Saturday was just in Clark County. And we were doing a story today, and it may be on our website right now. There's a care facility, over near Mall 205, Northeast 102nd, that has 14 residents and 7 staff members that have tested positive. And those poor people, they already have, a lot of times underlying health conditions that have put them in one of those rehab centers. So, I kind of go through, waves of kicking myself after I was around some people. I mean, I'm always wearing a mask, but it's still just like, oh, stupid, And then 2 weeks goes by, I'm like, okay, everything's fine. And I'm just going to be interested to see, we ran that story this morning about November 1st is going to be the deadline for the permits, for the healthy business permits that allow, at least in the city of Portland, restaurants and other retail stores to expand out, like you see there, into the street or parking spots or on the sidewalk, allowing still, pedestrian room.
Why would PBOT not extend it? What's the argument against
I think, it's probably, just for parking spots. So they're doing a survey, and they have these stickers out on the sidewalk. They have little lawn signs where you text a phone number, and then it starts texting you questions, and you respond yes, no, would you like this to continue? Did you think you could walk, freely down the sidewalk with this continuing? But I'm just wondering, okay, if they're, fortifying this for the weather, what is the difference then if there's going to be plastic walls and a plastic, tent top? What's the difference between that and being inside?
I have a thought. And I don't know, but I can't speak to all these various street seating situations. In all those situations, is traffic prevented from going down those streets entirely? Are they completely blocked off from traffic?
Some very few streets have that.
Because here's what I was thinking about this. Now I don't know if this is being thought of at all, or maybe I don't even need to go down this road, but we are going to see the time change here soon, right? And so, soon enough, it's going to be dark at 5 p.m.
Yeah,
and that is definitely difficult. Even downtown sometimes, if I'm downtown at 5 or 6 p.m., which can happen, I'm never downtown at 9 or 10 p.m., but I can be downtown between 5 and 6. And during those months when it's dark at that time, it is definitely a different driving experience. I mean, you have to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
People passing through your cars, especially in downtown, if someone doesn't use the crosswalk, if they walk between two cars. I was just wondering if maybe that threat of it's darker.
Safety. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Thank you. Spent many minutes this weekend thinking about that.
We are impressed, Drew.
Now I'm sharing it with you. I stared at my ceiling.
Stanford Walker says, I have seen a lot of people without masks at Freddy's on Hawthorne. Way too crowded as well. And then Jeff Lucas on the flip side said, I'm tired of this COVID. I'm not concerned anymore. I just go with the flow.
There was a time, right, when I think grocery stores were counting the number of people in the store.
Yeah, New Seasons did that.
They're not doing that anymore, right? At least I don't see them doing it.
Some of them. I mean, the ones that were doing it are doing it.
Still, you see people out there kind of counting heads?
Yeah. I mean, at New Seasons and at Whole Foods.
I have not seen it at my store.
Fred Meyer always said they have sensors that estimate how many people come in,
right.
And they're allowed, however many 100 per square foot.
Yep.
And so that's the way they
No, you're right. We ran that story back when they launched that system a few months ago. So
but I think, as Americans, we just, like Jeff was saying, I think, we suffer from that ADD syndrome of like, okay, what's next? I'm bored of this. I've been hearing this for months, wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. I haven't gotten sick yet. I'm over it. And it doesn't care.
No, it does not.
Carol,
I totally know how he feels.
Yeah, we all feel that way. It's just a matter of how we act, because we all feel that way. But Rod, what about you over there in Clark County?
Well, I just want to say I'm always surprised, getting back to Stanford Walker's comment, of in a big store like Freddy's, that he's seeing people, I assume he's talking about indoors, without masks. Because I feel like all the stores that I go into, I feel like there's somebody more than not out the door ready to say, ready to stop me if I don't have a mask on. And I have not experienced that. Every single store, and I do mean every single one that I've been in, people have masks. And generally I see people doing what they're doing to ask up here in Clark County. But in terms of the numbers going up, we've started a lot of things. Beyond Labor Day itself, a lot of things are starting back up. Obviously, schools is the big one, including college. And I just feel like people are starting to do things that that they weren't doing a month or two ago. And so, to me, that makes sense that the numbers are probably starting to go back up again.
I will say this, I'm not more concerned today than I was, say, this time on Friday before we heard that announcement of the big number on Friday, that 400 plus number of reported cases in Oregon. But I definitely thought differently about school, because I was starting to lead myself down the road of, I think they might let the kids back in school here in a few months, maybe before Christmas break. And I thought, because we were trending down and there was some talk being generated of, hey, we got to get our kids back in the classrooms, I thought maybe that hybrid model would go into effect, where kids at least a few days of the week would go back in. But now I feel like with these numbers, never mind. There's no way, right? I mean, those numbers, we always knew how to get significantly better and definitely not start trending the wrong direction. One of our viewers did chime in, and I like to address the so-called negative questions as well as the positive. She says, why do news people enjoy spreading fear? I'm not here to spread fear. I know that my colleagues are not here to do that either. I'm sorry if that comes across this way. I guess we could be accused of spreading concern or just spreading the idea that we need to be aware. I'm not here to say you should be any more fearful today than they should have been on Friday, but we're just acknowledging the fact that more cases were reported Friday than we had seen in a long time.
Well, and again, I think that you can just look at the situation on the ground as people change behaviors or get a little more relaxed about it. COVID numbers go up. That's just not an Oregon or Washington thing. That happens across the country. Even in some states that were like, hey, they got a handle on it. And then things started happening and then the numbers went up a little bit. And so, I mean, this should not be a surprise to anybody.
It's crazy that we're having this discussion here in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Real quick, Rod, I'll just mention over the weekend, Florida entered a new phase of reopening. They're back to allowing people at restaurants, bars, nightclubs, all that reopen. And on Friday, the state of Florida announced 25,000 new COVID cases. Can you imagine that for a single day?
25,000.
25,000 new cases reported on Friday. And so perspective, you know, we've got our situation over here. We're all talking about this 450 plus number on Friday. They had 25,000 on Friday. And yet with that number being announced, they went ahead this weekend and entered a new phase of reopening.
Catherine Crenshaw online, good morning to you, says if we truly want schools to open, then no matter how we feel, we need to take precautions and socially distance, wear masks, etc. I have to say, I feel sorry for some of those teachers, you know, in districts across the country where they were really saying, hey, we want you to go back into the classrooms. And a lot of their unions and individuals said, oh, we're not comfortable. You know, and some of those teachers were a little bit older and, you know, they're at a higher risk. And it's like such a delicate balance between what the kids need and, you know, how to do it safely. It's like uncharted territory, of course.
On Twitter, SDD2311, hello. She says, anyone reading Twitter? He or she, sorry about that. They said, hey, you guys did a story about how the numbers were including people who died, you know, maybe with COVID versus of COVID. It's a fascinating story how the state of Oregon reports those cases. You can watch it on our YouTube page. And they ask how much of the spike is related to that. And again, we don't know. It's because, so the state of Oregon counts if you have COVID, if you tested positive and you die of anything within what? A certain amount of time. Now I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
I don't know if it was 10 days or 14 days, but it was one or the other.
Yeah. They list you as a COVID death. If you're hit by a car crossing the street and you happen to have asymptomatic COVID, you died, you know, you are counted as a COVID death.
Yes.
And a lot of people, you know, take issue with that. The state of Colorado and Washington had done it that same way until people heard about it and caused such a stink that they changed those, you know, ways of reporting. So, but they, per our questioning, they said, no, we're going to keep doing it this way. So the answer to your question is we don't know how much of this spike is related to, you know, people, at least the deaths are related to people dying of something else. But the positive cases remain, you know, standard.
Hey, when I mentioned Florida reporting 25,000 new cases on Friday, did you all think that number doesn't sound right? He must mean 2,500?
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Do I feel foolish? Of course I do.
So it's 20, so tell us again now.
But still, 2,500 new cases reported in the state of Florida on Friday.
Because it was, remember, didn't they have like some tens of thousands reported one time?
In a day?
One day, yeah, I think it was like 30.
They had a 10,000 day. They never had a 25,000.
That's why I was like, oh, it must be true.
But yes, no, 2,500.
Okay.
The point is still is that is a number that we have not even seen close to happening here in Oregon. And yet, you know, the concern here is still what it is. I just thought it was crazy over the weekend that with that number, still a large number, it's actually 2,847 new cases of COVID reported Friday in Florida. And with that said, the next day they entered a new phase of reopening.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of comments on the stream. I'm trying to.
Did anyone correct my numbers?
Tanya Haywood says, we just moved to Tampa and kids are in school and have been in school for over a month and no new cases have been reported at her particular school.
Well, that's good.
Good, absolutely.
Right.
And Jeff Lucas says sometimes we need a reminder from the news that COVID is still here.
Yeah. There's so many, man, I mean, there's just so many other things happening. It is bonkers.
2020.
So, I know, can you even...
Deb Barnes says, can we finally realize that this is not going to get better if people don't wear masks?
What's difficult, right? It's one of those things where we can't really tell you what we're saving you from because we're saving you from it, right? It's like we can't really. I think if we took, I would be very curious if we took
like
a
a
poll.
double-edged sword, really.
If we took a poll of parents and said, hey, how many of you would be willing or would want to send your kids back to the classroom right now? You know, where would that number stand? I have a feeling that the large majority, though more than 50% of parents would say go back into the classroom for whatever the reason. And part of me thinks it's actually a reason of convenience more than anything. I mean, this kids being at home right now is train wrecking a lot of parents' work schedules and what they normally do
Just the quality
day to
of
day.
education sucks. You know, I mean, no diss to teachers, but it's just
Right.
harder to teach like that.
But I think generally speaking, a lot of people feel like my kid will be fine in the classroom. They're going to be okay. Now, we don't know if that's true or not. There's no way to tell that to be true. I think what we're trying to do is say, you know what, we'd rather be safe than sorry. I mean, a lot of that is that sort of thinking. But what would happen, you know, if we went in and your kid did get sick? You know, maybe you would change your tune immediately. I don't really think we want it to come to that, right? We don't want to see that before we start making these decisions.
You remember that family of 7? Where were they from? But their kid got sick and everybody in that family got sick.
Right.
Do you remember that story?
Yeah, I can't remember where they were from though exactly, but
I don't either.
a local family nonetheless.
So are you guys going, I mean, Rod, let me ask you this question. Have you been, you know, eating out just as much and going, you know, running errands and all that stuff just as much, or have you increased now that
Full
we've kind of
disclosure,
gotten
the answer
used
is
to it?
no, but primarily because my daughter is a figure skater, and the ice rinks here in the Portland area have been closed, and my family is like other ice skating families where they are traveling to other rinks, in some cases in other states. My family just left again this morning. My daughter and wife drive up to Spokane every Monday morning. They stay up there until Friday, and my daughter ice skates. She can do her schoolwork on her laptop now, and then they come back home Friday night, and they're here on the weekends. So because they are gone, I'm not going out to eat by myself much, so that's the answer to the question. But we're certainly one of those families that are looking at, the fact that, football's playing now. Ice rinks are a business that by and large are not opening because until hockey is allowed, that's the main revenue. The people that own the rinks are saying that, well, we can't afford to be open if we don't get hockey revenue.
Gotcha.
And I realize hockey's indoors and football's outside, but that's another one of those topics where people are ready for their kids to go that are going, well, nothing's more contact than football. So anyway, that's a little snapshot into our family's life.
Was anyone else on the panel aware of this living situation where Rod is essentially living a bachelor's lifestyle Monday through Friday?
Yeah, he told me that the other day.
I had no idea. So Rod, I mean, you probably aren't clamoring to get back here to the
Right now
workplace because you got a pretty good setup there at home.
Mid-November. There's a competition in Spokane in mid-November, and after that, everybody will be back home.
Okay. Mid-November. We're not even in October
my wife
yet.
and daughter being gone, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Jean Kemp is weighing in on our stream, and she says Costco needs to step down again on having so many people inside at one time. And April, good morning to you, says we're in Southern Oregon. I'm not concerned at all. Sad for those who have lost lives and family. I still wear a mask most of the time because I want to keep stores open. However, I'm ready to be like Florida. So yes, COVID is going to do what it's going to do. Let's let it and move on.
Yeah, I mean,
But can I ask a question, Brenda? One thing I wanted to ask a question earlier in the show was, isn't it reasonable to assume, and I've heard experts say the same thing, I mean, COVID is a virus. It's not going to just disappear one day. I mean, COVID may be a permanent fixture, maybe, right, on our list of things that kill people, from cancer to influenza. And let's say COVID stays on that list. Despite whatever vaccines come and go. I mean,
yeah, maybe it's one where we have to get a yearly shot
at what point are we going to wear masks the rest of our lives? I mean, what are we going to do?
My daughter just asked me that question. She said, do you think that we're going to be wearing masks from now on, like it'll become a thing? And I said, you know what? I kind of do. I think that will be one of the tools in the toolkit, right? Coronavirus is not going away. Rod, I've heard those same, experts weigh in and analyze this, but at least we'll have more therapeutics and ways to battle it, because right now we don't. We don't have immunity, we don't have a vaccine, and once it starts going through places, especially crowded indoor places, that's the risk.
You know, EMTs, for example, I mean, we would always see them. It was common to see an EMT doing their job on the street with a mask on, right? And why were they wearing that mask? Because they were dealing with people they weren't familiar with, they didn't know about, and who were generally sick. And they didn't want to get whatever that person might have. But the rest of us, you know, we could be walking down the street right past that person and didn't think twice about it with no mask. But you're right, I think now, at least if you're someone who, generally speaking, during the winter months, you fall ill to this, that, and the other thing, and you have a hard time keeping yourself healthy, I feel like, you know, mask wearing is probably not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, other countries do it. Personally, for me, I don't think that that's a huge ask. It's like I can cover my face. It's not a big deal to me. I don't have upper respiratory issues. You know, maybe some of the people that we're seeing in stores who aren't masking up fall into that category. But you definitely get kind of the double take if you ever see anybody out without a mask now. You know, even when we go for walks in our neighborhood, we're seeing people, you know, put on their masks as they pass people on the trail or on the sidewalk, or, you know, you take it out of your pocket and put it on. I feel like people's behavior, at least from what I'm seeing in my little corner of the world, has radically changed.
Oh, it is amazing to think that a year ago we never would. Could we imagine this idea that the four of us are going to be in these boxes every day, that we're going to come into and out of the workplace every day wearing a mask? And it, you know, you're right. Everyone, the amount of people that have jumped on board is pretty remarkable. I know it's not 100%, and nothing is usually 100%, but I'm with you, Brenda. The fact that as many people are on board with this as are now is still pretty remarkable. And I know a lot of people are doing it simply out of respect, not because they fear they're going to get the, you know, the virus if they walk out of their house or walk into the store without a mask, but they know, hey, this is a team effort, and we're all doing this for each other to kind of keep this train rolling.
Yeah, Catherine says it really well. She says it might be here to stay. In order to manage it, we do need to change our ways, not to live in fear, but to live in consideration of others. So just backing up what you were saying, Drew.
I mean, realistically, when would we get rid of masks? I mean, when will that even start to happen? A vaccine? Well, how long is it going to take before everyone is able to get the vaccine? And when do we trust that first vaccine? Is it going to be the second? I mean, it is, to me, you're right, it's a long road. It's no longer a months long deal anymore.
Remember when we were like, do you guys think this will last like past Memorial Day?
Right.
Like in May.
Oh, we were so naive back then.
Will we come back to work maybe after Memorial Day?
It's tough to wrap your mind around something you've never experienced in your lifetime before.
I know, but you know what? Like the weather has gotten me through so much this summer, and for the next, week and a half, Rod says it's going to be just gorgeous. We were robbed of that lovely weather the other week because of those terrible fires and the smoke and everything. So we get our last chance. Yeah. Get outside, enjoy it, you know, hang outside as much as you can because fall is coming.
It's looming. Jeez.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.